Whole of England here. Today we're taking a look at the Tier 5 premium Russian cruiser, the Kirov. With the introduction of the new Soviet cruisers, the Kirov was taken out of the research tree and is now a premium ship available in the armoury. As a ship to somewhat compare it to, it's like an improved version of the Mikoyan with very similar attributes. Like all of my reviews, I'll cover the main features and attributes of this ship, the most suitable upgrades, the captain's skills, and showcase the ship in battle. Before the gameplay, I'll briefly cover the history of the ship, just so you've also got an idea of what the ship did in the real world. For the main batteries, the Kirov bears 3 triple 180mm main battery guns, with a base range of 16.3 kilometers. However, this can be increased by 20% to 19.56 kilometers when the spotting aircraft consumable is active. When active, it's amazing for some early game plays, as you can... What I sometimes like to do is load HE to take some long range shots of battleships pushing you without risking myself. With some good luck, you can get a good amount of damage pretty early on, as well as you probably get some fire damage too. These guns also have a reload time of 13.5 seconds, allowing for a rate of fire of 4.4 shells per minute, which can also be increased with the adrenaline rush whilst you've taken some damage. With this in mind, with all the guns firing, that's just under 40 shells per minute. As well as this, the base shell dispersion is 145 minutes with both high explosive and armour piercing, and those shells themselves have a shell velocity of 800 meters per second, which is rather quick. Speaking of shell types, the armour piercing shells will do a maximum of 4,100 damage while striking the citadel, and high explosive will do 2,500 on striking a citadel. One thing to note with the high explosive shells is they've also got a 13% fire chance, so if you do manage to hit all the shells on target, there's a very good chance you'll set a fire. For the secondaries, there are 6 100mm guns, which have a range of 4 kilometers. These reload every 4 seconds, which allows for a rate of fire of 15 shells per minute. These fire high explosive and will do a maximum of 1,400 damage with a 6% chance of setting a fire. Overall, they won't do too much, however there will occasionally be some close encounters where really they'll just help to increase the overall damage output. Whilst on the topic of close encounters, the Torpedoes have got the same range of 4 kilometers and are also a real help too. The Kirov has got 2 triple torpedo launchers with a reload of 70 seconds, so if you do manage to be fighting close range for long enough, then you'll be able to get a few sets off. They're also very fast at 64 knots, so if you're going against a slow ship, they'll find it very hard to outmaneuver them, which is very good, due to the fact they do 14,400 damage. Like most things on the ship, the armour on the Kirov is very similar to the Mikoyan. The first thing you'll notice, even from the front on, the citadel is very exposed. Thankfully, at that angle, most shells will ricochet. Whilst looking from front on, the fore-end armour, though very angled, is only 13mm thick, so because of this, it will very easily be overmatched by battleship guns. This, again, as I said, is very similar to the Mikoyan, as both can very easily be penetrated from the front. However, the thing that does set them apart is the citadel behind the fore-end armour has got 15mm extra. So, the Kirov has got armour sitting at 50mm, which means you've got a lot less chance of being citadeled from a shell that gets through the fore-end armour and then hits the citadel. Moving away from the front, from the side, you can see the citadel takes up a good portion of the length of the ship and sits just above the waterline. This can be an issue as most ships firing side on will be able to hit the citadel, so that is a very large vulnerability that the ship faces. One thing to note though is it is 50mm, which is thicker than the Mikoyan's 35mm, so even if you do slightly over angle, you'll find yourself taking citadels somewhat less frequently. For the rest of the ship, most of it has got some rather thin armour. The superstructure having 10mm of armour, the auxiliary room armour plating at 18mm, and the deck at 16mm. Then there are some other small areas, such as the conning tower, which has got 150mm of armour, and a small amount of superstructure, which has got 25mm of armour. The guns are more armoured, with the barbette and frontal armour sitting at 70mm, and the rest sitting at 50mm. This means that they're less likely to be knocked out unless a ship with higher caliber guns does manage to score a hit on them. With all this, it's fair to say that the Kirov isn't the most durable of ships. Even with a decent health pool of 26,200, it'll certainly lose it that quickly when under lots of fire, so it's best to play the ship somewhat reserved and more tactical. Another thing to note is the ship doesn't have a repair party consumable, so once health has been lost, you can't regenerate any of it back. The anti-air on the ship isn't particularly amazing, but it will do the job. Overall, they are more than capable of wiping out a squadron of planes from any Tier 4 carriers, such as the Hosho, Langley or Hermes, but will be particularly vulnerable when up-tiered going against any Tier 6 carriers, especially when they use rocket planes. This is because of the high damage output they can deal and the lack of repair party that the ship faces. The anti-air on the ship has got 3 sets: long, medium and short-range guns. The long-range anti-air consists of 6 single 100mm guns, which are the secondaries that are dual purpose. These have got an action zone of 3.5km to 4km and will do 35 continuous damage. And on the chance that a shell does explode near the planes, it will deal an additional 910 damage. The medium-range anti-air consists of 6 single 45mm 21k guns with a range of 2.5km and they deal 39 damage per second. Finally, the short-range anti-air consists of 4 single 12.7 DSHK guns with a range of 1.5km and 53 continuous damage per second. The ship's concealment is rather high, sitting at 13.8km, so the ship can very easily be spotted. So especially when open maps, it's very good to hold back and let other ships go forward, otherwise you'll certainly be targeted. This can be reduced to 12.4km with the Concealment Expert skill, which should definitely be the first full-point captain skill to take. The speed of the Kirov is very good, having a top speed of 35.5 knots, which can be increased even further by using signals. The rudder shift is pretty average at 11 seconds shift time, and the turning circle is rather large at 860 metres. But it isn't really too much of an issue, as in most situations you won't really need to be turning too fast, as any torpedoes you'll be able to spot pretty far off with your hydroacoustic search consumable. The Kirov has got 3 consumables: the damage control party, hydroacoustic search and the spotting aircraft. The damage control party is an unlimited consumable which has got an action time of 5 seconds and a reload time of 60 seconds. The hydroacoustic search has got 3 charges with an action time of 100 seconds and a reload time of 120 seconds. The range of the search is 3km for torpedoes and 4km for ships. Finally, the spotting aircraft has got 4 charges with an action time of 100 seconds and a reload time of 240 seconds. The consumable allows for a 20% increase in spotting distance, which allows the Kirov to fire up to 19.56km. The upgrades I'd recommend would be Main Armaments Modification 1, Damage Control Modification 1, which are both standard for most ships, then finally Aiming Systems Modification 1. The latter upgrade being the most important as it reduces the shell dispersion by 7%, as well as have some other benefits such as a 20% increase in the torpedo tube traverse, as well as increase both the range and accuracy of the secondary batteries by 5%. For the captain skills, my recommendations would be to go for Priority Target, as that'll make it easier to actively avoid shots, Adrenaline Rush, as it'll just provide a nice reload boost whenever you get low on health, Demolition Expert for additional fire chance, which will be especially great for spamming battleships to set them on fire, and finally Concealment Expert, which I'd argue is probably the most important skill for this ship. For the final 9 points, I choose High Alert as it will reduce the cooldown on the damage control party, which I found has been very useful, especially when getting set on fire a lot. Vigilance, as that will also be very useful when using the hydroacoustic search, and then that's gone on cooldown, so you're going to have that time where if you're getting hunted by a destroyer, you're going to want to see those torpedoes a little earlier, so that definitely does provide some benefits to it. And then finally I'd go for Advanced Firing Training, which this is primarily for the damage increase for the anti-air from the long-range guns. However, it does also have an effect on the secondaries, which allows them to have a 20% range increase, which alongside the Aiming Systems Modification upgrade, that allows the secondaries to have a 1km boost, so then they can hit 5km, which will just really inflate the amount of damage output that the ship can do. So now I'll cover the history of the ship. So first off, the Kirov was placed into active service on the 23rd of September 1938 and saw its first action in late 1939. During the Winter War, the Kirov, alongside destroyers, tried bombarding some Finnish coastal defence guns on the 30th of November 1939. However, after firing just 35 rounds, had to return due to being damaged by some near misses, where it underwent repairs until 1941. Whilst based near Riga at the time of the German attack on the Soviet Union in June of 1941, Kirov was trapped in the Gulf of Riga due to the enemy's swift advances. The ship supported some mine-laying sorties by Soviet destroyers in the western half of the urban strait on the evenings of the 24th to 25th and 26th to 27th of June 1941. At the end of August 1941, Kirov also provided some gunfire support during the defence of Tallinn and served as the flagship of the evacuation fleet from Tallinn to Leningrad. For a majority of the rest of the war, she was blockaded in Leningrad and Kronstadt by the Axis minefield, so could only really provide gunfire support for the defenders during the siege of Leningrad. After this, Kirov was damaged by a number of German air and artillery attacks, with the most severe being between the 4th and 5th of April 1942, where she was hit by 3 bombs and one 15cm shell that damaged all 6 100mm anti-air guns, the aft tunnel, the main mast, as well as killing 86 sailors and wounding a further 46. From the attack, it took 2 months to repair her, where the catapult was removed, a lighter pole main mast was fitted, and anti-aircraft armament was increased. Apart from some gunfire support in mid-1944, Kirov took no further part in the war. Now for the post-war, Kirov was refitted and was in active service until being reclassified as a training cruiser on the 2nd of August 1961, and was therefore decommissioned and sold for scrap on the 22nd of February 1974. There is, however, a monument in St. Petersburg where 2 of Kirov's guns were installed and can be seen today. Okay, so now we're taking a look at the actual replay that I've got for you today. This is something I think I had probably about a month ago I recorded. I mean, what I usually do now is I record the replay as soon as I get it, and then I'll do my video later on when I get around to finishing up the edit. So I was quite happy with this lineup. I mean, mainly tier 5 ships, and there's only 2 destroyers on each side, so that's going to be good, and a nice amount of battleships and cruisers. So I have spawned in the middle, and my aim is to head over to A and B and then just see what I can really do. So I don't really show you how you use the AP in this game. Also, yeah, I can see there's a cursor on the screen. I apologise for that. I only sort of noticed that about 4 minutes in, and I went, oh, you can probably see that, so I better take it off. So it's sort of like a teacher when they leave the cursor on a video. So yeah, sorry about that. That will be gone in about 3 minutes' time. But anyway, so we're heading over here, and I've got to say, I was really quite surprised with this game. I was usually what I do is I just play, say, like 5, maybe 10 games in the ship that I'm doing a review of, or just doing a video of, just to sort of showcase any nice games, you know, and if you're given the right situation, what it can do in those situations. And honestly, this was kind of perfect. I was just on my lunch break, because I mean I'm working at home at the moment due to all the lockdowns, so I was like, oh, I'll give the Kirov a go today. And this was, I think, probably my first or second game, and I was just pleasantly surprised by the result. So you'll definitely see the impact that having the demolition expert skill has, as it just gives that tiny bit of extra fire percentage, and it really does make a difference here. It's actually quite shocking as to how much damage it actually caused with the continual bombardment of HE shells onto the battleships. And keep in mind, there are only 4 battleships as well, which you know, it's quite something. So there's not going to be that many, especially if they get taken out quite quickly. So we'll see what happens anyway. So first of all, we've seen the Jaguar over here, and we're going to start firing at him, but he has gone undetected. But we are currently spotted, but nothing's really looking us at the moment, so that's quite good. And as the Jaguar's not spotted, just take a quick look at that Königsberg, drop off a few shots, and see if they hit. But it does look like he's slowing down, so I think they might miss unless he does start speeding up. And no, it looks like he's actually reversing, so those won't hit. So I can see he's reversing again by the look of his smoke, so drop some more high explosive and see what they do. So the Jaguar has just left the cap point as well, by the looks of it. And yeah, we do manage to get 2 hits and incapacitate his torpedo launchers by the looks of it, which is quite nice. So at the moment, with him being the only real thing that we can actually shoot at, and seems to be going slow enough, might as well continue our fire on him, and we get to do another 3,000 damage with 5 penetration there, which is quite nice. As you can see, definitely that -7% for the dispersion is very useful here, and he gets taken out by the Baton. So now the next target has been shifted over to New York, which Looks like he has actually been citadeled. There's a fairly large chunk of health that's been taken off him. But nevertheless, still keep on bullying him and just going to try and use these islands to my advantage as best I can. But unfortunately I cannot see him anymore, so now it's just a fact of trying to blind fire and see what I can actually, well, see what I can hit if I hit anything. And I do manage to get 2 hits, well, 3 hits, but only 2 actual penetrations, so I'm guessing they hit somewhere which had a little too much armour. So I do keep on firing that final salvo, but at that point I'm like, okay, well, can't really hit him, let's start looking for a new target. So I do sit around this part of the map for quite a bit, as, I mean, I just find it's like, well, in my current situation, it's probably the best. And we've got Touch My Balls over here. I've been thinking that's... I have seen quite a few sus names on this game, if I'm honest. Which I'm surprised haven't been changed by any admins. And we do get another 4 penetrations, so that's quite nice. And just keep on firing whilst he is still allowing us to arc our shells over. But he is getting into the cover of that island, and yet we get another hit of 800 damage. So it's not really the actual shell damage which does that much unless you're actually getting a nice penetration and getting more than 850 damage. It's more the fire. But if you can get a good amount of damage in anything squishy, then definitely go for it. So really my plan here was just, whilst he's spotted, is just if I can just about stay out of spotting range, well, not spotting range, but just stay out of really being able to be spotted. But if I can get my shells over, and then the closer he gets to pursuing me, I can just keep edging on forward, avoiding being spotted whilst simultaneously getting some shots off. And I do think this is quite a good playstyle really to adopt for playing with this, or the Mikoyan as well. That's another ship that you'd be able to do this for. Okay, we get a fire, well, double fire actually. So that's that fire chance, got quite a nice amount there, and he has damage gone, so we're not going to be able to get a fire on him just yet. But if we just keep on firing and just wearing him down a bit, and there we go, we get another fire, 4 penetrations, very nice. Now that is going to be stuck like that probably for another minute or something like that, depending on how he's got everything set up on his ship. But regardless, that's going to be a nice amount of time to get a fire, and we get another 2, now he's got 3 fires set. He's not liking me very much because I'm now going to be absolutely draining the HP off him. As you can see, that's just going down spectacularly fast there. 400, what, every second or something, maybe even faster than that. So as you can see already, this is definitely scaring him off. So you can see the New York is also starting to push now as the Congo is trying to head off. Another 2,500 damage there, a nice 3 pens. Probably just so he can actually allow the Congo to get away and get some repairs in, but oh, it's probably this New York's mistake, to be honest. He is currently dueling against a Congo. I can't see how much HP our friendly Congo has got, but it's going to be a loss for him. I'll put it like that. And we do get another 5 hits there. However, we are currently spotted, so I'm like, right, okay, let's start getting around this island, because if he does get any hits, or, you know, oh yeah, if he can actually shoot me, then yeah, that's going to be an issue. And 6 shots. Close range, devastating. So he's looking at me, and he can definitely hit me. So at this point, I'm like, right, well, I'm actually gonna try and get out his way. But I have damaged him a nice amount, so I'm gonna let the Congo go and start dealing some damage to him. As you can see, right, yeah, he's got 40,000 HP, so he's definitely in a very, very good position to be battling against this New York, unless the New York does try to ram. So by the looks of it though, he's not aiming at me, so I am pretty safe to just kind of sit in the open. But I am a bit wary of his rear turret, so I do still edge forward a bit, and there we go. He absolutely demolishes that New York, and I just help a little bit. But that's all good, so that's quite a few of those ships now out of the way. And I can start focusing on some other targets that present themselves. But I mean, at this point, it looks like we've got a really nice, just secure position on a, you know, we're going to be holding that pretty well, and they seem to actually be kiting away with no one pursuing them, which is good. At the end of the day, it's like if you're kiting, then Unless you know you're going to win the fight, it's quite a risky thing to be doing to pursue someone kiting, because they're usually going to be able to do more damage whilst not taking any themselves. So I mean, there's not really too much going on here at the moment. So I mean, I did drop my fighter plane. So I mean, that's another thing as well. That it's not just the actual increase. It does also give you this sort of more bird's eye view camera. So it's kind of good to really see where they are. So if I was looking directly forward from the ship point of view, then it would be quite hard, because obviously there's an island in the way, and yeah, as you can see, it's a lot harder to really work out where I'd be aiming for. So usually I spam the M button, which one of my friends taught me, which is actually quite a useful thing to do. If you just sort of spam it, you can get a different sort of angle when you're trying to fire. But he has used his damage repair party, well, not a repair party, his damage control party. So that's hopefully going to be coming off cooldown soon, and we can set another fire. He does, however, go unspotted, so yeah, now we can see the Omaha's pushing out. I mean, he's pretty low on HP, so I think at this point it's definitely worth pursuing him, dropping some shots in. I mean, looking at the moment, yeah, probably would have been a good idea to switch over to AP, but I mean, he's that low, I was thinking, it's not really going to matter too much. And by the looks of it, I'm actually getting flanked by a Kirov behind me. Yeah, there he is. And hopefully these will be the finishing shots, or someone will finish him at least. There we go, brilliant. New York gets him and finishes him off. And there's that Furitaka, who is also very low. So try and get a few shots off, but yeah, as you can see, that's what I mean with aiming behind an island. It's just quite hard to really work out, so you got to try and use the reticle on the map. But regardless, we are definitely in an advantage now. So I mean, that Kirov has actually got himself into quite a good position. If that New York wasn't there, he'd probably be able to dump some torpedoes through that straight into the Congo, and he'd be pretty good. But nope, never mind, the Congo has wiped him out as well. +1 to that Congo player. It looks like he's taken out 4 people actually, so he looks like he's getting on his way to getting a Kraken Unleashed, which will be pretty good. But he does have 11,000 HP, and he is getting taken out. So I'm not really too sure what happened with him. I hope he's all good and gets his Kraken, because he's nearly there. But we now start pointing our focus towards this Julio Cesar, and just trying to set him on fire, but having no real luck as of yet. So just really trying to get that damage output by hitting his superstructure. And there we go, we finally get a fire, which is really nice. And that was on a non-penetration as well, which is good. So that's going to start burning until he does come off cooldown on his damage control. So it does seem to be healing up as well, which is quite nice really for me, because that means I just get even more actual damage for fire, as long as no one else sort of focuses on him. And there is the Furitaka. So he's going to be a pretty easy kill as well, and slight lag spike there. But yeah, you can see that he's slowing down as well. Unfortunately, I get probably the world's worst dispersion there, so none of my shells actually hit. So just keep on firing until he's dead. Managed to get one hit and set him on fire, which he does immediately repair. We got a non-penetrating hit there as well. I'm going to be honest, this guy's taking way too long to die. He's going to be able to get some shots from me. Set him on fire again. I mean, even if we don't hit any other shots, that would finish him off regardless. And we finally get our first kill with 69,000 damage. Nice. And so now we can start focusing onto the Julia. How do you actually pronounce that? Julio Cesar. Yeah, it is the Julio Cesar. Okay. And actually he's taken out Omaha, so that's not particularly good. And what I was saying about only being 4 battleships, well, the only ships left are battleships now, so that's certainly something. And we've only got 2 battleships left, so this could actually turn for the worst, but we will see what happens. I mean, we did have a good amount of map control, but really now getting out in the open is probably quite a risky thing going against these guys. So obviously, whilst they're spotted and I can fire at them without being spotted, I'm like, well, might as well try and get some shots off. And there we go, 2,500 damage, and we do get a nice fire. So, very, very good indeed. I mean, not very good positioning on my part. I'm just like, oh dear, he's going to hit me, and I do not know how he pulls this off. Look at that! Look at that! That's mad. What was that turning circle? Did you see in chat? I'm just like, yo! That was mad. So that was some very, very quick manoeuvring from the Marblehead there. So we now are waiting for our plane to come off cooldown. We've got 2 seconds left. As you can see, these guys are just outside my range. I'm like, alright, okay, let's... first of all, let's try and steal this kill. Julio Cesar has just popped out from that straight there. But for now, I'm feeling confident. I'm going to try and help out our battleships over there first and get some shots off. I mean, unfortunately, I think our Marblehead's going to be dead pretty soon anyway. And then it's just going to be me versus there. This is if I do start popping more shots off at that Koenig, as I mean, there are only 2 battleships left at this point, and it's really a clear victory at this point. I mean, equal caps, we've got a point advantage, and we've got a fairly large ship advantage as well. So I think we're definitely all good. I'm honestly surprised that Marblehead didn't die then. And we do get 2 fires on him, so that's very good. So he's definitely burning out now, and he's not got anything to take those off. Wow, how is he still alive? Honestly, how is he still alive? That's crazy. But yeah, we just keep on spanning out more and more damage. And just get off some more salvos. And it's really just a fact of now, we're going to be winning. It's just a fact of grubbing as much HP off this guy as possible. And he does take out the Marblehead. So now it is really just me and the Cesar. We do have the Monty Broccoli behind me, but at the moment he's not really in a position to do much, so it's just a fact of trying to actively angle, avoid, and generally just not get hit by this shit. But again, I'm rather confident with this because he's only got 12,000 HP. He's just used his damage con. I can just set him on fire and ruin his day pretty quickly. Does get some bad dispersion, thankfully, so only managed to get 1 hit out of those 3. Yeah, I can just chuck out these, and wow, he actually used his Damicon then. Okay. But there we go, we're already above the 100,000 damage mark now. Get some more on the superstructure. There we go, get the high caliber reward, which is very nice. And just keep on firing, get those 5 bits of damage. Maybe get another fire. Yeah, there we go, we got the other fire. Brilliant. And he's just nearly out and out at this point. Got the Wither Award. So that's another heroic medal. Brilliant. And this should be the final salvo to finish him off. Boom. There we go. We get the Arsonist Award, and that is absolutely perfect. So now we come to the actual results screen, and it is looking good. So yeah, the Arsonist, that's brilliant. We've got the Wither medal. And of course we've got the high caliber board with a beautiful amount of damage of 118,000. I mean, that's a lot of hits. I mean, I was trying to do my navals at this point and I was struggling, really. And then all of a sudden I just get this game, 173 shots. Absolutely amazing. 5 defended, ribbons, 2 incapacitations. I only got 2 kills with that amount of damage, so just shows you that kills aren't really everything. And that very, very nice 16 fire set, which was definitely very, very good. So now we go over to the team score. We just have a look at these missions. And yep, there you can see I am at the top of the team. Very, very nice. So 1,525 base XP. Absolutely perfect. Top of both teams. And just generally just a very, very good game. And here's the detailed report. So you can see here, so out of the 118,000 damage, it was actually more of that was actually fire damage. So you can see 61,000 was from just fires alone, and the actual main battery hits was only 56,000. So they've played a major role in this game, which is definitely good. But you can see the damage done. So yeah, 38,000 to Julius is I mean only 4,000 to for Ataka. The Congo 32,000, Koenig 20,000, New York 15, and then just some small amounts of damage. Yeah, 4,000 on the Königsberg and 1.6 on the Omaha. So very nice. And then just quickly take a look at the credits and XP. I mean, it's a premium ship as well, so it's going to have that bonus. So with premium 2, that's just perfect. 270,000 credits from this game, as well as 6,800 XP and 1,793 XP, as well as 12,000 Commander XP. So overall, I'd say that was a pretty amazing game and really shows you what you can do in the ship, which is a lot. So, I mean, if you didn't get this before the Soviet Cruiser update, then I highly recommend that you do get it from the Armory, because it is a very nice ship to play in. So without further ado, that's really the entire video over. So I hope you've enjoyed, found it useful in some way if you were thinking of getting Kirov or weren't too sure how to play it or any loadouts for it. If you liked it, make sure to give it a like. If you disliked it, make sure to dislike. But just let me know in the comments what you found good or bad about the video. And if you want to see more from me in the future, then make sure to subscribe. So thanks for all watching, and goodbye.